Have you ever felt like your voice, your struggles, or your victories were being erased, even by the very people who should understand you the most? Imagine fighting against the weight of the world, only to realize that the person standing next to you, the one who shares your history, your culture, your pain, and your joy, is fighting a battle just as deep, but you've both been conditioned to believe you're enemies instead of allies. What if I told you that Black women and Black men are being divided by design? What if I told you that the real power, the kind that shifts generational outcomes, lies in us amplifying each other's voices instead of silencing them? This is not just about gender. This is about intersectionality, the way race, gender, and society collide to shape our realities. And if we don't start listening to each other, we may never heal the wounds that keep us from thriving together. So today, we're getting real. We're unpacking why Black men need Black women's voices and Black women need Black men's voices, now more than ever. Because the world isn't just watching, it's waiting to see if we will rise or if we will remain divided. So, let's talk about it. Let's reclaim our voices together. Before we dive deep into this crucial conversation, I need you to do something for me. If you're here, it means you care about real conversations that challenge, heal, and empower. So, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, because these discussions need to be heard. And if this episode resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to a friend, a brother, a sister, someone who needs to hear this today. Let's amplify our voices together. Now, let's get into it. Welcome to Life Points with Ronda, where we have real conversations about relationships, self-development, and the journey to becoming our best selves. I'm your host, Ronda, and as always, I'm here to bring you insight, encouragement, and the truth, wrapped in love. Today's episode is one that I believe is not just important, it's necessary. We're talking about intersectionality and why Black women and Black men need each other's voices, now more than ever. Too often, we see our struggles being separated, our narratives being divided, and our pain being used as a wedge between us. But the truth is, our survival, our success, and our future depend on us hearing, respecting, and uplifting one another. So, whether you're listening as a Black woman who feels unheard, a Black man who feels unseen, or someone who simply wants to understand the dynamics at play, this episode is for you. We're going to break down what intersectionality really means, why it matters, and how we can shift the conversation from blame and division to healing and collaboration. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's talk about it. Because when we come together, there is no force greater than us. Understanding intersectionality and its impact on Black men and women. What is intersectionality and why does it matter? Before we can talk about why Black men and Black women need each other's voices, we have to first understand the term intersectionality, what it means, where it comes from, and how it directly impacts our lived experiences. Intersectionality was first coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, a Black feminist scholar and legal expert, in 1989. She used the term to describe how different aspects of identity, like race, gender, class, and sexuality, overlap and create unique experiences of discrimination and privilege. It's the idea that being black and being a woman, or being black and being a man, doesn't happen in isolation. These identities intersect in ways that create specific challenges and, in some cases, even make oppression worse. For example, a black woman faces both racism and sexism, often at the same time. A workplace that hires women might still be hostile to black employees, and a workplace that hires black people might still hold sexist expectations. This means that a black woman's struggle can't just be boiled down to gender discrimination or racial discrimination alone. It's both, simultaneously. On the other hand, black men experience a different intersectionality, where they face the hyper-criminalization and dehumanization of black masculinity, while also being expected to conform to a version of masculinity that allows them little room to express emotion, vulnerability, or struggle. Society often treats them as threats before seeing them as people, whether it's in job markets, law enforcement, or even dating and social spaces. The real challenge? These struggles are different, but they are also connected. And yet, we are rarely given space to acknowledge each other's pain without making it a competition. How the system uses intersectionality to divide us. One of the biggest reasons why black men and black women struggle to amplify each other's voices is because we've been conditioned to see each other as opponents rather than allies. And that conditioning didn't happen by accident. It is deliberate and systemic. From the days of slavery to the Jim Crow era, and even today through mass incarceration and economic disenfranchisement, there's been a constant effort to divide and conquer the black community. During slavery, black men were often beaten and humiliated in front of their families to strip them of their role as protectors. Meanwhile, black women were forced into labor and sexual exploitation, often denied the right to control their own bodies. During segregation, the government actively suppressed black families by enforcing policies that kept black men out of stable employment and denied black women financial resources unless they were single, furthering the breakdown of the black household. In today's world, we see it through the justice system and media narratives where black men are painted as dangerous and black women are painted as aggressive or unlovable, making it harder for us to trust and support each other. What does all of this do? It creates resentment. It creates a sense of, I've had to do it alone, so why should I support you? And this is exactly what the system wants, because a divided black community is a weakened black community. The truth is, neither black men nor black women are the enemy. The enemy is the system that profits from our division. And the only way we win is by refusing to play into the narrative that we must tear each other down to survive. If there's one thing we have to take away from this conversation, it's that black men and black women are stronger together. But that strength can only happen if we see, hear, and uplift each other in meaningful ways. Black men, listen to black women when they speak about their struggles. Understand that their fight for gender equality is not a fight against you, but rather a fight against systems that oppress us all. Recognize the burden black women carry in the movement. From activism to education to community building, black women are often on the front lines, but they shouldn't have to do it alone. challenge the stereotypes placed on Black women. The angry Black woman trope is used to dismiss valid concerns. Instead of tuning them out, amplify their voices. Black women. Acknowledge the struggles of Black men beyond stereotypes. Yes, Black women face unique oppression, but so do Black men. The world often sees them as threats rather than human beings, and that burden is real. Stand up against the hypercriminalization of Black men. From mass incarceration to police brutality, Black men are disproportionately targeted by the system. Supporting them in these fights does not mean erasing your own struggles. Recognize that healing can't happen in isolation. It's easy to feel like you have to go it alone because of past betrayals. But collective healing means rebuilding trust, not avoiding it altogether. The world is already loud enough in trying to tear us down. The least we can do for each other is speak up, support, and stand together. Now that we understand how intersectionality impacts both Black men and Black women differently, and how systemic forces have historically worked to divide us, it's time to address the real work, rebuilding trust and actively amplifying each other's voices. Because let's be honest, the wounds run deep. Many Black women feel abandoned, unheard, and dismissed by the very men who should be standing beside them. Many Black men feel disrespected, unsupported, and constantly under attack by the women who should have their backs. And this pain, if left unchecked, becomes a cycle of resentment instead of healing. But the truth is, we need each other, not just in theory, but in action. So how do we move forward? How do we break this cycle and start showing up for one another in a way that is real, intentional, and impactful? Let's talk about it. Step 1, learning to listen without defensiveness. One of the biggest roadblocks in our ability to support each other is defensiveness. We hear criticism, and instead of processing it, we internalize it as a personal attack. For example, when Black women express frustration about feeling unsupported, some Black men respond with, "But we struggle too," instead of asking, "How can we do better?" When Black men open up about feeling unwanted or unappreciated, some Black women respond with, "Well, Black women have it harder," instead of saying, "I see your pain and I hear you." The issue? We are too busy competing over who hurts more, rather than validating each other's pain. The solution? Radical listening. Listen to understand, not to argue. The next time a Black man or Black woman shares their struggles, resist the urge to compare. Just listen. Validate before responding. Even if you don't fully relate, acknowledge the pain before offering a rebuttal. Make space for each other's emotions. Black men are often told not to express vulnerability, and Black women are often told their emotions are too much. It's time we start affirming, not dismissing, each other's feelings. When we truly listen to each other, we create the space for healing to begin. Step 2, addressing internalized biases. Let's be real. We've all been conditioned with negative ideas about each other. Whether from media, trauma, or society, we carry unconscious biases that influence how we see one another. Some common ones: Black men are all players and emotionally unavailable. Black women are too difficult, too independent, or too angry. Black men don't protect their women. Black women don't respect their men. These are lies designed to keep us divided. And if we want to rebuild trust, we have to do the hard work of unlearning these toxic narratives and replacing them with truth. The truth is, Black men do love. and protect Black women, but they are rarely shown doing so in mainstream media. The truth is, Black women are not angry without reason. They are responding to a world that constantly tries to silence them. The truth is, neither gender is the enemy. The real enemy is the system that benefits from our mistrust. So ask yourself, what negative assumptions have I internalized about Black men or Black women? Where did these ideas come from? Personal experience or external messaging? How can I actively challenge and correct these biases in my daily life? The work of healing starts within. Step 3, supporting each other in public and private spaces. It's easy to say, I support Black men or I stand with Black women. But true support isn't just talk, it's action. If we really want to amplify each other's voices, we have to show up consistently and in ways that matter. Ways Black men can show up for Black women, defend Black women in public and private. If you hear another man disrespecting a Black woman, call it out. Silence is complicity. Support Black women-led initiatives, whether it's businesses, activism, or creative work. Be intentional about uplifting Black women's efforts. Acknowledge Black women's contributions. Too often, Black women's work is overlooked. Give credit where it's due. Ways Black women can show up for Black men. Speak on the injustices Black men face. From mass incarceration to police violence, Black men are disproportionately targeted. Their pain matters too. Create safe emotional spaces. Black men are often told to be strong, but they also need room to be vulnerable without judgment. Celebrate Black men's successes. The world is already quick to highlight their failures. Be a voice that amplifies their wins. When we show up for each other in tangible, visible ways, we build the trust that has been broken. Step 4, healing our relationship wounds. One of the hardest truths we must face is that many of us are operating from past wounds. Childhood trauma, heartbreak, failed relationships, or even generational pain passed down from our ancestors. If a Black woman has been hurt by Black men before, she may struggle to trust them. If a Black man has felt abandoned by Black women, he may be hesitant to open up. The result? We keep projecting old wounds onto new people, furthering the cycle of division. The truth is, we cannot build unity if we don't first heal. So where do we start? Therapy and self-reflection. Address the root of your pain before taking it out on others. Honest communication. Have the hard conversations, even when they're uncomfortable. Forgiveness. Not just for others, but for yourself. Because healing is the foundation of unity. The stronger we are individually, the stronger we are together. Now that we've unpacked the impact of intersectionality, addressed the ways we've been divided, and discussed how to rebuild trust, it's time to look toward the future. The truth is, Black men and Black women have always been each other's greatest allies, even when history tried to tell a different story. From the civil rights movement to modern activism, from the households we build to the culture we create, our power has always been in our unity. So, the real question is, how do we move forward in a way that strengthens us as a community so that future generations don't inherit the same wounds? This section is about solutions. Tangible, lasting solutions. Step 1. Cultivating a culture of love, not war. It's time to rewrite the script. For too long, social media and mainstream narratives have pushed the idea that Black men and Black women are at odds. But this is a lie. We are not battling each other for dominance. We are not in a gender war. We are not enemies. Instead of fueling the divide, we must create a culture of love, where supporting one another is the standard, not the exception. How do we do that? We correct the narrative. Instead of amplifying stories of Black love failing, we need to highlight where it's thriving. We stop feeding into negativity. Social media thrives on division, but we can choose to engage in content that uplifts rather than tears down. We celebrate Black relationships, whether platonic, romantic, or professional. We need to make it known that Black men and women do, in fact, support each other. It starts with a shift in mindset. If we keep expecting war, we will never build peace. Step 2, strengthening the Black family and community. Another critical part of healing our dynamic is restoring the Black family and Black community structures. For decades, systemic forces have worked to break apart Black families, from mass incarceration to economic policies that punish two-parent households. But we don't have to accept the status quo. Here's how we rebuild: supporting Black fathers and mothers. Instead of feeding into harmful stereotypes about absentee Black fathers or struggling single mothers, we uplift and support Black parents who are doing the work. Healing generational wounds. Many of us grew up witnessing unhealthy relationship dynamics, but we have the power to break those cycles by modeling love, respect, and accountability in our own relationships. Creating strong communities. Instead of looking to outside systems for solutions, we must invest in our own people. Mentorship programs, Black-owned schools, and businesses that build generational wealth and stability. The Black family is powerful, and when we strengthen our households, we strengthen our entire community. Step 3, uniting in economic and social power. One of the most effective ways to solidify our future is through economic and social unity. Invest in Black businesses. Every dollar we spend is a vote for the kind of world we want. Supporting Black entrepreneurs, creators, and professionals helps us build collective wealth and reduces dependence on systems that were never designed for us. Educate and empower each other. Whether it's financial literacy, real estate, or community organizing, we should be sharing knowledge that uplifts us all. Engage in political and social change together. From voting to advocacy, we need to stand united on the issues that impact our community. Because division makes us weak, but unity makes us unstoppable. The reality is, no other community thrives without economic and social solidarity, and neither will we unless we commit to building together. Step 4, restoring trust and love in relationships. At the heart of everything we've discussed is this: we cannot build a future together if we do not trust and love each other. So how do we restore that love? By choosing empathy over ego. Instead of trying to win arguments, we start listening with the intent to heal by holding each other accountable with love. Accountability isn't about blame, it's about growth. We must call each other in, not out. By protecting each other, always. Whether in the streets, in the workplace, or in our own homes, we must be each other's safest place. If we can commit to loving each other fully, deeply, and unapologetically, there is no limit to what we can achieve together. Final thoughts. The future starts with us. Black men and Black women have always needed each other, and we always will. We are not enemies. We are not broken. We are not beyond repair. We are powerful beyond measure. And when we come together, When we amplify each other's voices, heal our wounds, and stand united, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. The future of our community, our families, and our legacy depends on the love, respect, and unity we choose today. So let's make the choice together. We've covered a lot in this episode. Intersectionality, the ways we've been divided, and most importantly, how we can move forward together. But let's bring it home. Because this conversation isn't just about history or society, it's about real relationships. It's about the way we love, the way we communicate, the way we choose to show up for each other every single day. At the core of every movement, every revolution, and every act of change is a relationship. How we treat each other in our homes, in our friendships, and in our communities reflects the kind of future we will build. So, what does this mean for you? If you're in a relationship, ask yourself, are you showing up for your partner the way you want to be shown up for? Are you creating space for their voice, their struggles, and their experiences? If you're single, consider this. Are you carrying pain from the past into your present? Are you open to healing and embracing new possibilities without resentment or fear? If you're part of a community, reflect on this. Are you doing your part to uplift Black love, Black families, and Black unity? At the end of the day, our personal relationships set the foundation for our collective strength. A healed Black man creates space for a healed Black woman. A healed Black woman creates space for a healed Black man. And together, they build a legacy that breaks cycles and creates generational change. Because here's the truth. Society benefits when we are divided, but we benefit when we are united. And that unity starts with the love we choose to cultivate today. Let's keep this conversation going. This is not just a podcast episode. This is a movement. This is a call to action for every Black man and Black woman listening today. If this conversation resonated with you, don't let it stop here. Like, share, and subscribe, because this message needs to reach as many people as possible. Send this episode to someone who needs to hear it. Your friend, your brother, your sister, your partner, anyone who needs this dialogue. Join the conversation. Comment, message, and engage with this discussion. Let's keep this dialogue alive and growing. We are not just voices. We are a collective force. And when we come together, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. So until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And let's keep building a future where Black men and Black women thrive together. Thank you for watching. If you found value in today's video, I invite you to take your journey even further with my podcast, Life Points with Ronda, where we dive deep into relationships, personal growth, and the wisdom that helps you thrive. Tune in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all major streaming platforms for powerful insights that can transform your life. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more uplifting content like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Stay connected with me on Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. Life Points with Ronda. Visit my website at lifepointswithronda.com for exclusive content, coaching, and more. Thank you for your support. Until next time, take care and stay phenomenal.